One final question. Where is the bloody round?
Johnny Depp. Nowadays, everybody knows him as Jack Sparrow, but becoming Jack Sparrow has been both a gift and a curse, because that's also the only thing that most people know about him. Johnny Depp has had a remarkable career, starring in a lot of other movies that most people have never truly appreciated. From starting out as a musician and a high school dropout, to playing a deranged journalist in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and a quiet undercover FBI agent in Donnie Brasco, Johnny Depp has shown extraordinary range. Soon, we may see him making his long-awaited comeback, and perhaps he will reinvent himself once again. No matter what role he takes on, there's always one question hanging over him. Will Johnny Depp ever be able to star in a movie where people don't instantly see Jack Sparrow? Well, today, I want to shine some light on this complicated man's career, in order to find out more about the actor behind the pirate. Johnny Depp was born on June 9th, 1963 in Owensboro, Kentucky. His father was a civil engineer and his mother was a waitress. The family moved constantly, over 20 times before Johnny was a teenager. Johnny Depp has actually been a musician from a very young age. He picked up a guitar at 12, taught himself to play, and dreamed of rock stardom, not Hollywood. He even dropped out of high school at 16 to pursue music full-time. By his mid-teens, he was playing in local bands across Florida. By his early 20s, he was in a band called The Kids, which eventually moved to Los Angeles, chasing a record deal. But fate had other plans. Through his then-wife, Lori Ann Allison, Depp was introduced to actor Nicolas Cage. And it was Cage who encouraged him to pursue acting and helped him land an audition. Almost accidentally, he stumbled into a career that would define the next 4 decades of his life. Looking back, this is where a young maverick was born, a kid with raw instincts, deeply rebellious energy, and an artist's soul who never truly fit the Hollywood mold. Some fun facts: Johnny Depp's very first film role was in A Nightmare on Elm Street in 1984, where he was memorably killed in one of cinema's most absurd death scenes, swallowed by his own bed. But it was the TV show 21 Jump Street that made him a household name, playing an undercover cop posing as a high school student. He became a teen idol almost overnight. That discomfort drove nearly every career decision he made afterward. He turned down massive mainstream roles deliberately, chasing the weird, the dark, and the unconventional instead. As you might know, Johnny Depp is famously protective of his artistic choices, sometimes to a fault. The amount of times this man has walked away from easy money for a stranger, riskier role is remarkable. He's also one of cinema's great collaborators, building long creative partnership, most notably with director Tim Burton. Together they've made 8 films, creating some of cinema's most visually iconic characters. And while some see his eccentricity as a gimmick, those who've worked closely with him describe a deeply prepared, intensely committed artist who builds entire worlds around every character he plays. All jokes aside, the early TV work gave young Johnny Depp a platform he desperately wanted to escape, because his first truly defining movie role wasn't a romantic lead or an action hero. It was a hauntingly beautiful fairy tale called Edward Scissorhands in 1990. Playing a gentle, tragic, artificial man with scissors for hands, Depp said almost nothing in the film, communicating entirely through expression and movement. It was a physical, deeply vulnerable performance, and it made people sit up and say, who is this guy, and why is he nothing like what we expected? That early acclaim led to Ed Wood in 1994, where Depp played the infamously bad cult filmmaker with infectious, heartbreaking optimism. He received a Golden Globe nomination for the role, and critics began taking him seriously as one of Hollywood's most daring actors. He followed that with Donnie Brasco in 1997, going toe-to-toe with Al Pacino, playing an FBI agent so deep undercover he nearly loses himself, proving he could carry dramatic weight alongside legends. These weren't flashy blockbuster roles, they were roles that built his credibility and showed he wasn't afraid of disappearing completely into a character. But in 2003, everything changed. Johnny Depp was 39 at the time, and Disney was making a theme park ride into a movie. Nobody expected much. It was considered career suicide by many in Hollywood, but Depp had a vision. He based Jack Sparrow on a wildly unlikely combination. Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones, the anarchic Groucho Marx, and Pepe Le Pew, the lovesick, delusional cartoon skunk from Looney Tunes, who's utterly convinced of his own greatness, even as the world recoils from him. The result was so bizarre, so unpredictable, that Disney executives were genuinely alarmed. They called producer Jerry Bruckheimer asking, "Is he drunk? Is he on drugs? What is happening?" Bruckheimer told them to trust the process. What set Depp apart was that Jack Sparrow wasn't a hero pretending to be incompetent. He was a genius disguised as a fool. Every stumble was calculated. Every slurred word was intentional. It was one of the most carefully constructed comic performances in blockbuster history. Disney took the risk, and in 2003, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, became a global phenomenon. Depp received his first Academy Award nomination for the role, almost unheard of for a summer blockbuster. He also took home the Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Actor in a Leading Role. This introduction of Jack Sparrow to the world is simply iconic. You've got these serious naval officers standing there, and suddenly this swaying, eyeliner-wearing pirate shows up. You can just tell he operates by his own rules entirely, giving Jack Sparrow a universe all of his own. His first sequel came 2 years later in 2006 with Dead Man's Chest. It became one of the highest-grossing films of all time. Unlike traditional action heroes, this Jack Sparrow was mentored by nobody, answerable to nobody, and operating entirely on rum, instinct, and chaos. And yet somehow he always came out on top. Depp's version of Jack wasn't the brooding, tortured type. He was a self-interested philosopher, stumbling through moral dilemmas and emerging with surprisingly profound wisdom about freedom and identity. By the third film, At World's End in 2007, the character had become a full-blown cultural phenomenon. Jack Sparrow Halloween costumes, Jack Sparrow theme park meet and greets, Jack Sparrow everything, but here's where the gift became the curse. The franchise kept going on Stranger Tides in 2011, Dead Men Tell No Tales in 2017. Each film made enormous amounts of money, but with diminishing creative returns. And slowly, Jack Sparrow stopped being a character and started being a brand. And Johnny Depp, the actor who spent his whole career running from typecasting, found himself more trapped than ever before. Not by a studio, not by a contract, but by the entire world's love for one character. Now here's where it gets interesting. While Jack Sparrow defined Johnny Depp's commercial career and made him one of the highest paid actors on earth, Depp never stopped chasing the work that actually excited him. As far back as 1998, he delivered one of cinema's most unhinged performances in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, playing Hunter S. Thompson's alter ego, Raoul Duke, with terrifying commitment, barely recognizable behind prosthetics, a shaved head, and a chemical fog. In 2001, he played a cocaine kingpin in Blow, a quiet, devastating performance about ambition and loss. And in 2004, he earned his second Oscar nomination for Finding Neverland, playing author J.M. Barrie with quiet warmth and grace. Then, in 2007, he sang his way through Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street, earning his third and final Oscar nomination, and this time, winning the Golden Globe for Best Actor. These performances show a side of Depp that is raw, precise, and quietly devastating, really showing his range as an actor when given the space to disappear into something real. In 2022, Johnny Depp became the subject of one of the most globally watched trials in recent memory, suing his ex-wife Amber Heard for defamation. The trial was broadcast live and the world watched. Whatever your position on what happened, the fallout was enormous. Disney had already removed him from Pirates of the Caribbean. Warner Brothers had asked him to step down from Fantastic Beasts. At his lowest, it seemed like his Hollywood career was finished. But here's the thing about Johnny Depp. He's been counted out before by studio executives in the 1990s who thought he was too weird, by tabloids who said he was difficult, by a franchise that had outgrown its creator, and every single time, he came back. Not by playing the game, but by doing it entirely on his own terms. The jury ultimately found in his favor, and the outpouring of public support was unlike anything Hollywood had seen in years. In 2023, Depp made his directorial debut with Modi, a film about the painter Amedeo Modigliani. He didn't seek permission, he didn't wait for Hollywood to welcome him back. He simply went and made something. It was a quiet, personal statement. I am an artist first, always have been. And it reminded people of the young musician from Kentucky who never actually wanted fame, just the freedom to create. In many ways, that's always been the most Johnny Depp thing about Johnny Depp. In recent years, Depp has been quietly honest about the possibility of returning to Jack Sparrow, on his terms, not the studio's. He said he doesn't want the character to be diminished any further, and that if he returns, it has to mean something. Knowing when to protect a character, even from the studio that owns it, is a rare kind of artistic courage. And it's the same instinct that made him turn down easy TV roles at 25 and build a billion-dollar character out of Keith Richards, Groucho Marx, and a lovesick cartoon skunk at 39. Looking ahead, he is directing more, painting seriously, and still playing music. He's talked about smaller European productions, he's talked about returning to the stage. Whatever comes next, it won't be predictable. So even though Jack Sparrow changed Johnny Depp's life and defined Johnny Depp's career, I think the most interesting chapters of this story are still to come. Because the man behind the pirate has always been far more fascinating than the pirate himself. And if you want to understand the full depth of what Johnny Depp is capable of, don't start with the pirates. Start with Edward Scissorhands. Start with Fear and Loathing. That's where the real story begins.